we are in person here at the Bhakti Center. Therefore, I will chant, if that's okay with all of you on Zoom.
Very much okay, yes.
I have the kartals, yeah. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari 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 Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana Raja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Anatari Yamuna Tira Anatari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for being here on this wonderful Tuesday. Today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, verse 8. Oh, we have it here. I don't need to look it up. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 5, verse 8. Here we go. Here we go. Is this it? Yes, this is it. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. We figured it out. I will read the Sanskrit. No need to repeat. I'll just read it once. I'll read the translation, and then I shall read the purport. Thank you. So it says, yeah, it's very loud. Haribo. Arjuna Prabhu and Adi Purush Prabhu, please bless me that I can speak something in line with Krishna. It says, Maharha Vastra Bharanam Kanchukoshni Shabhushita Gopa Samaya Yurajan Nanopayana Panaya. The translation is, O King Parikshit, the cowherd men dressed very opulently with valuable ornaments and garments, such as coats and turbans. Decorated in this way and carrying various presentations in their hands, they approached the house of Nanda Maharaj. The purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. When we consider the past condition of the agriculturalist in the village, we can see how opulent he was. Simply because of agricultural produce and protection of cows. At the present, however, agriculture having been neglected and cow protection given up, the agriculturalist is suffering pitiably and dressed in a niggardly torn cloth. This is the distinction between the India of history and the India of the present day. By the atrocious activities of Ugra Karma, how we are killing the opportunity of human civilization. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshavine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauravakta. So once again, I shall read the purport because I will be focusing mostly on the purport. This verse, I was just speaking to Jai Jagannath yesterday. I feel like this is one of those verses that it's giving you, well, at first I felt like it was giving me very little to work with because usually I'm someone that likes to kind of, like if it's like a long purport with lots of philosophy in it, I'm like, yes, let's get into that. And this verse is very sweet, and the purport is also very sweet. And Srila Prabhupada is simply talking about agriculture and cow protection and the degradation of human civilization. Do it one more time. When we consider the past condition of the agriculturalist in the village, we can see how opulent he was, simply because of agricultural produce and protection of cows. At the present, however, agriculture having been neglected and cow protection given up, the agriculturalist is suffering pitiably and is dressed in a niggardly torn cloth. This is the distinction between the India of history and the India of the present day. By the atrocious activities of Ugra karma, how we are killing the opportunity of human civilization. So, I found out last night that it was, today's the disappearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and I felt that if I would have known that earlier, maybe I would have prepared for class differently, but I was already on a trajectory, so this is how we will approach it. Has anyone ever like done agricultural work? Has anyone been on a farm or lived on a farm? What did you do?
Well, my grandparents had a farm where they had.
If you give her the microphone to people, 21 people.
Oh, yes.
Don't give her the microphone, Tim.
Okay, but that's okay. I'll repeat what she says because I think it's a little bit too much back and forth. I'll repeat. Please speak.
Grew up on a farm. My grandparents had a farm. But well, not hundreds, but like tens of acres, farming sugarcane and crops.
All right, so Diana is saying that her parents grew up on a farm and she grew up on a farm and they were farming sugarcane crops. And sugarcane, I think, is one of the hardest things to farm, right? Yeah. Yeah, and so the point that I'm trying to make here, I won't go back and forth with the audience so much because I don't want to pass the mic back and forth so much. The point I'm trying to make here is that if you've lived on a farm and if you've done any farming work, it is hard. It's actually quite difficult. I lived on a farm when I was 21, and not for long, just for like 4 months. And they handed me a machete, and they were like, "You can cut the grass. You can cut the whole field of grass." And you know me, I'm here from New York City. I'm born in New York, and I was like, "What? I have to cut the grass with a machete?" And so I did it. At first, I was kind of, but I got into it, and my reflection is a very simple one, that it was very hard. It was very difficult. But of course, afterwards, there was a sense of satisfaction, actually. There was a sense of simplicity, There was a sense of like, wow, this is actually so nice. And I'm actually tired at night. I can actually go to sleep. I'm not like distracted and my energy isn't being pulled by this, demon of the phone that we have, right? And so I was actually tired and I was drinking like fresh milk from the cows and the goats. But the point I'm trying to make is that farm work is hard. It's hard, right? There's a lot of austerity and penance in it. And so Srila Prabhupada here in the purport is talking about how the agriculturalist or the farmer has kind of been devalued through society, right? And if you look at kind of agriculturalists in the village in times when Krishna descended and Nanda Maharaj, it's like so opulent, so beautiful, right? It's so majestic. Nanda Maharaj was a king. You read all of the descriptions and they have hundreds and thousands of cows and all of these beautiful things. And now, India, we won't get so much into this, but India specifically, there's a lot. I remember when I was living in India, we were learning a lot about the suicides that happen. Does anyone know about this? No? So I don't know much about it, but I just know that because farming has been degraded so much, farmer suicides, because farming has been degraded so much in India, so many people have like lost this profession, and farmers are left without crops, they're left without things, and there's just mass depression, and people just, they commit suicide.
Haribol Prabhu.
Yes.
It's 30 farmers a day in India commit suicide.
30 farmers a day commit suicide in India. It's kind of like a pandemic. Like it's really a real thing. And so the question being brought up here inadvertently is like, well, why does this happen, right? Like, why has agriculture, cow protection, like why has it been devalued over time? And so there's a lot to actually pull from here. On like I was saying, on first glance at this verse, I was like, what am I going to talk about? And then when I started to get into it, I was like, actually, there's really a lot of beautiful things to talk about here. And one of the main things I wanted to talk about is kind of varnashram, right? So the structure of society that was in place in the past, not so much anymore. And although we are seeing that people have certain propensities and this and etc., at the end of the day, most people, I'm going to make a sweeping generalization, but please suspend your disbelief. Most people are hankering over like a certain thing, right? And that certain thing is having a lot of money and having a lot of access to things and making it. And most important part is doing it in an easy way, right? Where I don't have to do austerity. I don't have to cut the grass with a machete, right? Metaphorically or literally. Like I don't have to do any of that work. I can just, be an influencer and put a thing on TikTok, and all of a sudden I have 8 million views and now I'm rich and famous, right? And so this is very much a mindset that is prevalent nowadays, right? I don't want to do the work. I don't need to go to school. I don't need to learn. I don't need discipline. I don't need any of that stuff, right? I can just go and do what this other person did, right? If X, Y, and Z person could become an influencer on TikTok, well, why can't I? If X, Y, and Z person can become a, I don't know, inspirational, life coach who has like millions of followers, why can't I do that? If this person can become, rich in business within like a couple of months, well, why can't I do that? And so really the problem here becomes envy, right? So as we all must know, right, it is said that these different parts of society came from the celestial body of Sri Vishnu, right? The Brahmanas coming from the head, the Kshatriyas coming from the arms, the Vaishyas coming from the thighs, and the Shudras coming from the feet. And when the feet want to be the head, there's a problem. And I think that a really big problem, though, is that a lot of people think, well, why am I the feet? Right? Like, why do I have to be the feet? Why can't I be the head? Gorsharan is liking this, so I'm happy that I can give Gorsharan some laughter. So why do I have to be the feet, right? Why can't I be the head? Or whatever position, right? Why am I the arms? Whatever. And there's a lot of envy here, right? Why can't I be like this? Why can't I be like that? And Krishna actually warns us about this in Bhagavad Gita. Yes, there's this beautiful verse that I'm sure we all know. And actually this verse comes in context, right? Because this is towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, where once again, like the different varnas are being described and the attributes of the different varnas and people in those varnas are being described. And then Krishna says, it is better to engage in one's own occupation imperfectly, right? Imperfectly, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than trying to do another's occupation, even if it's perfect, right? So it's better for me to do my own occupation, to do my own dharma, right? Than try to accept someone else's. And this is the problem, right? Because in the purport, there's a really important sentence that Srila Prabhupada, I found this sentence, and it was so good. Srila Prabhupada says, in this way, one should work according to his own nature. No work is abominable if performed in the service of the Supreme Lord. No work is abominable if performed in the service of the Supreme Lord. That is powerful. That is really powerful, right? Because we live in a society where that's not really the norm, right? We see work, different types of work, as lowly work or as abominable work, or as like, I could never do that, or I don't have to do that, austerity. I can figure out a quicker way, right? And actually that's seen as a success, right? If I can figure out how to make X amount of money or whatever in a less amount of time, then that means I'm smart and you're dumb, right? Simple, right? That means I'm clever and you're just, wasting away, I don't know, doing some menial labor, And that is not the case. Yes. So Srila Prabhupada clearly says here that no work is menial. And this is a mindset that really needs to be overcome, actually, because we see this in we see this in society, right? Obviously, we see it in society, but we also see it like in our everyday life and specifically in our seva. We see it. Yes? Why do I have to do this? Why do they get to do that? Why do they get to go there? Why can't I go there? And the big one, Haribol Dayal Garanga, the big one, I'm glad he walked in. The big one, why do I have to wash the pots? Right? Have we all felt that at one point? I've definitely felt that. I've been up till 1 a.m, 2 a.m, washing pots, and I've been angry. Just, why do I have to do this? Why doesn't Krishna have to do this? Why do I have to do this? And so again, we go back to Srila Prabhupada. No work is abominable, right? No work is abominable if done in the correct mindset, right? If we're doing it as a means to get closer to Krishna, if we're doing it as a service. And we look at, many leaders in our community, and that's why I was saying, sorry to put you on the spot, Doyal, but I was thinking about Doyal when I was preparing this class, because Doyal is someone who's like, he'll still wash the pots. He'll still put the chairs away. He'll still, like, no one's helping. Okay, I'm going to put the chairs away. So if we have this kind of hierarchical is not the correct word, because a point that I was going to make is that there is a need for hierarchy, actually. But the point is more, or the word is more like feeling pride or feeling like I am better than you. Contempt. Yeah. Like, because I'm coming from the head of Vishnu, I'm a Brahmin, I'm better than you, right? Or because this, I am better than you. So if I'm getting an identity of, I'm better, contempt, because of whatever position I'm in, then this becomes a problem, right? But actually, there is a need for hierarchy, right? There is a need for order in society. And going back to the original point that I was making, when there is no order in society and everyone wants to become a TikTok star, then back to the purport, the agriculturalists will suffer, right? And I'm not like an environmentalist, like I know this much, but I know as much to know that like the world is suffering, right? Like Mother Earth is suffering. The cows are suffering. The farmlands are suffering. Jai Jagannath is always, he's always telling me like, well, what if the food runs out? Like, what are we going to do? And actually, Srila Prabhupada thought like this, right? And that's why we should have farm communities and this and etc. We're living in these cities and we're so, Cindy enjoyed that. We're living in these cities. And what's really interesting is that we're so far removed from the process of how things get to us, right? We're getting a lot of these foodstuffs wrapped in plastic, and it's just, oh, here it is. Has anyone tried I'm gonna put myself on the spot here. Has anyone tried one of those delivery services where they deliver groceries to your door? Yeah, I do it a lot. The reason I bring that up is because, I have to stop myself sometimes. Now I stop myself. But I was just like, wow, I'm so lazy that I can't get up to go out of my house to at least go to the grocery store to have a human interaction with at least the person who runs the grocery store. I'm just like, boop, 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 boop. And then it arrives to my door, and then like this, right? And this, I was looking at this interview that Srila Prabhupada did, apparently. It was a television interview in Chicago. And the interviewer was asking Srila Prabhupada, like, I've heard you have some, solutions for problems that people are facing, in this city. And Srila Prabhupada, so vehemently said, not just this city, the whole world. I have solutions for the whole world. Okay. And he starts talking about the different he starts talking about Varnashram, and he starts describing the different Varnas. And I thought that this was really interesting. I'm probably speculating, but I'm gonna pick this apart because I just like it. So there's a disciple with him, Nitai, and he's speaking about the Vaishyas and the attributes of the Vaishyas and what they do. And so let's see if I can find this. I had it pulled up. I'm realizing that I just wrote a tiny bit. Yes. So he's saying farming, cattle raising, and business are the qualities of the work for the Vaishyas. And Srila Prabhupada corrects him, not cattle raising, cow protection. And like I said, I might be speculating, right? But let's just suspend our disbelief for a moment. I really like that Srila Prabhupada corrected him. Because when I hear cattle raising and when I hear cow protection, they're two very different things, or at least like in my heart, they elicit like very different feelings, right? One is like almost impersonal, right? Like I'm raising the cattle, they're just over there. Another one is very personal, like I am protecting the cows. And it's so sweet, right? That shift in perspective, that shift in like personalizing things. And so then going back to this mood that we've all had sometimes, myself included, of, you know, why do I have to sweep the floor? Or why do I have to mop? Or why do I have to do this? Or why do I have to do that? You know, like we're all in many ways thinking like that. A lot of the times we think that we're alone. Why do I have to do this? You know, one of the questions that I sometimes ask myself when I get in this mindset is, you know, part of my seva at the Bhakti Center is dealing with finances, which I don't really like. And one of the questions that I get in my head, I'm just like, why do I have to sit in front of these Excel sheets for like ages? You know, like I don't like it. But again, it's a shift in perspective. If I can personalize the Excel sheet, if I can personalize the chairs and the temple and the building, right? And seeing it really like truly seeing it with a spiritual vision of how is this a service to Krishna? How is this a service to Radha Mulidhar? How is this a service to my community? How is this a service to our guru? How is this a service to Srila Prabhupada? And if I'm able to like genuinely make that shift in consciousness, then that's actually the practice of bhakti, right? Because I was reading Jaiva Dharma. Today is Srila Bhaktivinoda's disappearance day. So I wanted to bring in just a tiny bit. So I'll read from Jaiva Dharma, and we have 5 minutes. So let's see, I won't read too much. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting this very famous verse from various places in Padma Puran, Narada Pancharatra, right? I won't read the Sanskrit. Always remember Vishnu, Krishna, and never forget him. All the other prohibitions and recommendations are servitors of these two instructions. And then later on, he gives a bunch of different, I won't read this whole paragraph, but he says, therefore, all the rules and prohibitions described in the Shastras are eternal servants of the rule to remember Krishna constantly, and the prohibition is to never forget him. It follows that the regulation to remember Krishna is the fundamental principle amongst all the regulations of Varna Ashram and other such institutions. So we're being told here by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that the purpose of Varna Ashram Dharma is actually to remember Krishna. So if I am not actually doing that, then I'm not fulfilling my purpose in my specific Varna, right? Because there's this famous, beautiful verse, which I will likely butcher. So therefore I will have it as I'll have this as a just in case, but it said, let me try. It says, Naham Vipro, Nacha Narapatir, Vaishyo Nashudro, Naham Varni, Nacha Grihapatir, Na Vanasto Yatirva, Kintu Prodya Nikila Paramananda Purnamritabder, Gopi Bartu Pada Kamalayor, Dasa Dasa Nudasa. So this is the supreme identity, right? This verse is telling us, Sri Chaitanya speaking, I am not a Brahmana, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, or a Shudra, right? I am not a Brahmachari, a Grihastha, a Vanaprast, or a Sannyasi. My only identity is that of an insignificant servant of the servants of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the ever-expanding ocean of fully nectarian transcendental bliss, who is renowned as the maintainer of the gopis, the milkmaids of Vraj. And so this point that I'm trying to make is a really simple point, but it's something that takes a while for it to really land in the heart. And it takes constant reminders, right? For many of us that have been doing this bhakti for a while now, there's many here present that have been doing it eons longer than me. Perhaps you can attest to this. Like sometimes those feelings still come up. Why do I have to do this? Why me? Why do I have to? Right? And so when I look at people like, my very dear friends, spiritual heroes like Dayal Gauranga, Arjuna Prabhu, and Gorsharan, Adi Purush Prabhu, Jai Jagannath, like I see them, acting in a way of, yeah, this is a service. This is a service, and this is a service to Krishna, and therefore, I'm going to try to keep things separate, right? And therefore, there's like a barrier of protection, right? If I'm really approaching in that mindset of like, my identity is a servant of the servant of the servants, then there comes a barrier of protection of all these, crazy thoughts that try to infiltrate the mind of envy, right? Why do I have to do this? Why can't I do that? Why can't I be an influencer? Why can't I be on top? Why can't I be a leader, etc.? Right? So then going back to the purport, and I'll end here because we have just 10 minutes left. The purport, Srila Prabhupada once again is speaking about how the agriculturalists have been degraded, right? Like we as a society, unfortunately, are seeing the farmers as, it's just lowly work. I don't need to do that. Why do I have to do that? And not even it's almost past that point. It's almost to the point of indifference, which is a little bit worse, I think, than contempt, right? Like I have no idea. I'm just so disconnected from that reality that I'm ordering groceries wrapped in plastic on an app, right? That's me. So Srila Prabhupada has given us the solution. And the solution is taking to Krishna consciousness. And he so boldly said in this interview, I'm going to read it verbatim because it's so good. The interviewer says, when you came to Chicago last week, you said you were going to tell us some of the solutions to our problem in this country. Can you tell me what some of those solutions are? And Srila Prabhupada's solution not only for your country or our country, it is the solution for the whole human society. And so I'll end here and I'll open it up to questions. And now I think we can, if there's any questions. Yes, Cindy.
I feel like I've read before
Wait.
more than once.
So that the Zoomers can hear. Is it going to reach?
Yeah.
Okay,
it
great.
is. I feel like I've read more than once Prabhupada say that in Kali Yuga we're all Shudras. So at first blush, that seems like a criticism because we know Kali Yuga. But so what's he saying? That that's just all of our nature now?
I'm not sure, but I think one thing to, oh yeah, that's right. I have to now do this. Maybe Jai Jagannath can speak a little bit more to this, but from what I know, like none of us, like Varnashram doesn't exist. Like we're not in Varnashram. And many of us wouldn't, like if we backtrack to that time period, many of us wouldn't even like fit in there. And so, and if we're all Shudras, that's fine, right? Because bhakti is beyond that. Remember this verse, or what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, that the purpose of Arunachalam Dharma is to remember Krishna. So it doesn't matter if you're Shudra, Vaishya, etc. like this. There's a bunch of questions. I'm going to prioritize questions in person if that's okay. But Jai Jagannath, do you have any answer to Cindy?
It's a statement from the scripture, I don't know which one, but in order for Varnashram to function properly, the first thing is that you have to have the nature for the work that you're doing. There's an alignment between Swadharma and Swadharma. And in Kali Yuga, because of Varna Sankara, so the word Varna Sankara means a mixture of Varnas. So every old world tradition, they have like a natural eugenics program. It's like, that's what it is. Like Brahmanas mixed with Brahmanas, Kshatriyas mixed with Kshatriyas. It's like a natural eugenics, so that they can generate the particular nature for that particular part of the social body that allows for the integrity of the whole social body. But in Kali Yuga, because we're ignorant, we just get together because of love. Love is like the only criteria. There aren't any other criteria. It's not about, because we're all anyway. So there's no other criteria. So it causes mixture of, and fairly to be fair, in like 2022, we're not even Varna Sankara, we're more like Sankara. So the natures are completely distorted. People don't even know if they're a man or woman now. Like that's not, I mean, that could get you canceled even in certain places. So therefore, without the nature, there can't be a functioning of the Dharma for the nature, because the nature is all distorted. And that way, we're quite compromised, socially speaking, at least in the age of Kali. The advantage is that bhakti doesn't depend on material circumstances. So whether you're Varna Sankara or a Brahmin, all can take to bhakti. So that speaks well to the embrace of devotion. But as far as the healthy function of society, unless people are into like, eugenics in this natural sense, where they're trying to generate the specific nature for the specific dharma that will help the social body, then we're quite compromised in that sense. So all the Shudras Sambhava were just products of, love marriages and mixing and what can be done.
So actually everyone is a Sudra, but Janmana Jayate Shudra.
There's 21 people who can't hear you, wasn't it? 21 people.
By birth everyone is Sudra, but by samskaras you become Dvija.
Right.
If you don't do the samskara, nobody does samskaras. So the question, it's not that you did by birth, you're a Brahman and this or that. That's the mistake. Birth, everybody is Sudra. Samskaras, by proper reformatory processes, you become Dvija. Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahman. Don't do that, then you're Meshudra.
I once got this astrology.
There's 21 people who can hear it using microphone.
You said that before. I have a pretty loud voice.
Thankfully, the mic is long.
Yes.
It's just a comment that I've gotten a number of astrological readings personally, and also in my relationship with Rasika. And one time we got an Indian astrologer. It was like somebody recommended, like from Chaplet in India, and we never spoke to him, it was just email, and his feedback was, "This is a love marriage, it will not work."
Jai. Haribol. So Angelica is saying, it feels that cattle raising is inherently exploitative in language, while cow protection simply reminds me of Gopal's pastimes, a sweet boy taking care of cows, loving them, and how much of a completely pure love Surabhis offer him. That's so sweet.
Haribol?
And then, oh yes, who is it? Bhima Prabhu?
Yes, Haribol Prabhu. Wonderful, wonderful class. Way to set it up. Right now, just 45 minutes north of you, Poughkeepsie, we have two 200-acre farms in the process. One already producing CSA, community agriculture, delivering food that we grow ourselves organic, and then we have we have about a dozen cows, 20 goats, another 200 acres. We have dorms, barns, etc. for devotees to come eventually as soon as we get it up and running. Another 200 acres for organic regenerative farming, meaning the cow also protects us. Of course, she gives us, as our mother, the sustenance of the best part as a person who was an athlete. Whey protein was unsurpassed as far as the vitality it gives you. What to speak of fresh fruits and vegetables from the ground that you grow yourself. So we have this just north of you. It will hopefully soon be a devotee community, though only 3 of us are involved in it. So, please remember, all of you there, that in the near future, I will be introducing this community, this program, and perhaps people can come up, devotees can come up and spend a short period of time. We have dorms, beautiful dorms, and learn about growing and learn about and taking care of the animals, because you can read all the Shastra you want, but when you look in the eyes of an animal and you realize that they are a person, that you develop, that they have personalities, each one different from another. Cows, each one different from another, different behavior, different personality, and they reciprocate with your love and attention. You start to understand that everything that Krishna has said is for real. It's not just words on a page that you have to guess at as you walk the streets of New York City and you see people acting less than as people. So I just wanted to say that it's not as far away as you think. You don't have to be separated from Krishna's creation, and you don't have to be separated from Krishna's promise that if you take care of the cow, which is, as Adi can tell you, which is a lot of hard work, but it's self-fulfilling, it's self-satisfying. You are satisfied in the self after a hard day's work, and you are satisfied in the self when you give your love to the animals. You give your love and care to the animals. And the food, I'll tell you right now, tastes a lot better when you grow it yourself from seed and you pick it and you eat it right from Mother Bhumi herself. It's like the satisfaction of a child nursing from its mother versus getting some infant formula. So that's all I wanted to say. It's going to be available to you all soon, and I hope you all feel inspired to come up and spend a couple of weeks learning how to grow your own food, because you are in the future going to have to know how to be self-sufficient. It's Prabhupada's 50% of his Varnashram Dharma was that the devotees needed to learn to become self-sufficient so that they need not be under the thumb of the demons. So Hare Krishna, wonderful class.
Jai, thank you so much, Bhima Prabhu. I think we are reaching the end of our class. I really appreciated your point of looking animals in the eye and having that direct experience. I fully agree with that. I think I have 1 second. I had this quote by Radhanath Swami that I wanted to put in there. He wrote, "Humanity evolved when we realized that animals have the same rights to the earth as we do." And I thought that was really beautiful. And I also, I really appreciate Bhima Prabhu for making it more personalized. And thank you for the invitation. Please give us more information, send it our way, and we will be happy to come up and help with the cows.
See if we can squeeze
And
in.
I'm going to give you a machete, and I've got about 200 acres of hay to cut. So
Jai, that will be my main service. I will be cutting the grass with machete.
I'll have to get out of your way, though. I'm bound to lose a head.
Okay, let's see.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know if we actually have time to open up another question, as it is time and the curtains may open, but I was gonna say, I have a question. I'm curious if I can ask it over breakfast.
What's the question so that we can ponder on
The
it?
question is, we're talking kind of about the point of decreasing the mood of envy and entitlement and content and dissatisfaction of Varna, which we've been talking about is messy and like we don't actually have a technical Varna, it's mixed. But you also mentioned the example of our seva, like washing pots. We don't want to have this mood of, oh, I have to wash the pots. So my question is kind of the topic of making room for exploration and discovery and growth of how can I serve in ways that are more according to a nature that I haven't yet discovered to.
Very good question. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Hari Hari Bol, everyone.
All right. Thank you very much, dear devotees, for joining, for tuning in. We can't wait until Bhima Prabhu opens his farm so we can go and look the cow in the eye. That's so wonderful. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Love you all. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Jamuna Jaya, Raneshwar Naik, William Prabhu, all our camera people. All glories to you. Love you. Hare Krishna.